Yes, Adi, go.
All right. Thanks, Avinash. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So we have a pretty small group today. Thank you, and looking for. I hope that you will learn from this something from this session, and hope you'll have fun. So this one is very close to our hearts. It's really about capturing the voice of the customer, which typically comes in various formats, forms, and shapes. But how do we make sense out of this stuff? Because asking pointed questions of yes or no or multiple choice that'll give some insights, but the real insights come usually in the form of unstructured text, be it reviews on any of the social channels or on your website, etc. But the important question is how can brands continue to listen to this voice of the customer and take some action? As part of the session, we'll also walk you through an optional integration with Salesforce. Many of the brands are on Salesforce. There are many who are not on Salesforce, but we want to make sure that we can showcase the power of integrating it within the Salesforce platform so that there'll be some analytics that can be shown. So we're very pleased to have Ranjit Srivastava from Forest Rim with us this evening. Ranjit, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Adi.
So Ranjit has worked at Oracle in the past in multiple large organizations, and he's a co-author along with Mr. Bill Inmon, who is supposedly called like the father of data warehousing, a very famous personality, one of the most humble people that I personally met in my life. So Ranjit has been an author. He's writing books and very much passionate about this whole concept of textual ETL. My name is Aditya Budhavarapu. I go by Ari, based out of Northern Virginia. I'm passionate about the customer experience space and definitely voice of the customer. That is one area that I'm very much interested in and constantly learn every day. And textual ETL is a phenomenal technology that is continuing to grow, and it's very complex to understand text. So I really appreciate the work that Forreston has been working on. So as part of this webinar, what we will do is we'll take the use case of a restaurant and then figure out how can restaurants make sense out of the data that is coming in. Customers always keep talking about the brand at multiple places with their friends on, you know, through the direct feedback, indirect feedback, through various channels. But the important point is how can brands such as restaurants in this particular scenario take advantage of this textual ETL and really act based upon the customer's um, concerns. So if you look at this, there are in the restaurant hospitality industry, there are a couple of aspects which are pretty critical. So, for example, if you look at the general aspects, such as what does the product look like? What does the service say about the ambience of the hotel, and then what is the price tag? There are a couple of key attributes which really define the experience at a particular location of a restaurant or a brand. And then post COVID, it's a completely new world. It has changed the way every brand has to think about digitalization, about the impact, about the concerns. So post COVID, there are a number of newer challenges which need to be factored in. And we believe that the brands that really truly care about the voice of the customer and take actionable, leverage the actionable insights and take action will succeed, and the others which do not will definitely struggle, and it'll be difficult for them when we are talking about innovation, when we are talking about competition, when we're talking about various other aspects. How can a brand continuously differentiate in its offering is a major challenge, and we believe that textual ETL and the combination of the solution that we are talking about today with StoryPulse and textual ETL will help solve one of those challenges. And if brands are not careful, this is what the end state would be. We're seeing so many businesses go bankrupt, which is a shameful thing due to COVID primarily. As the note below says, 17% of the US restaurants have been permanently shut down. It's so sad to see the state of affairs. And it is even more imperative for brands to be able to understand what are these new concerns. What do customers want in this new world, in this post-COVID world? We are not yet in the post-COVID world, but as the changes are happening, what would it look like? What are those concerns? When prior to COVID, probably the customers would care about the traditional attributes such as ambience and the product, but the new concerns about social distancing and the cleanliness of a hotel, what do they think about the particular brand? What do they think about the competition? These are the things that really matter. And how can brands systematically handle the complaints, compliments, which is very important from a differentiation standpoint, competition, and suggestions which come into the way into the brand's overall repository of feedback. And typically they can come in from various sources. People can be talking about the brand on Twitter or Facebook, or they could directly give feedback. If I'm at a restaurant, I could scan a QR code and complete a survey, not just the structured one, but really about open-ended questions and something that really excites customers about new deals, new opportunities, open-ended text. So how can brands capture the feedback from various channels, and then how can they harness it to their advantage and take some meaningful action, right? That's what it is about. For example, if you're looking at a simple comment on Twitter, or not Twitter, but Facebook or any of the other channels where customers typically post their feedback on various channels, right? Travel, TripAdvisor. This is one thing, one statement from one of the brands that we were working with in the past. English or any language is extremely complex for comprehension. It may look pretty straightforward. There could be yin yang statements where one part of the sentence could say something positive, like a product is great, the menu is great, but the service sucks. So just knowing the sentiment that it is positive or negative is one degree, especially when there is yin yang text, which change the context. And when there are paragraphs or there is more content, there could be reams of data, there could be tons of data that each brand has to really go through and make sense out of it, which is not at all easy for anybody to understand. So that's the whole purpose of the solution that we are trying to put together. How can brands make sense out of the feedback? How can they use it to kind of build this competitive advantage, to be able to sustain and thrive in this competitive environment? So the solution that we've come up with, we've been working together pretty closely for the last few years with Forest Rim. So StoryPulse is one of our products from Focal CXM. It's a way to engage customers. Let's say that customers are waiting at a dining table, waiting for their food to be served. It's not just about the kids who can get engaged through games and stuff, but how can customers, even adults, kind of engage themselves, know something, learn something, know more about the brand, give feedback. There's so many aspects to the engagement, and then finally give feedback, of course, which is an important thing. So StoryPulse is sort of the engagement platform for the customers who are coming to the restaurants or your brand. And Forest Rim is our analysis engine, which is doing the more complex piece, to be very honest, right? Of understanding the text and making sense out of it. And especially given that Bill Inman, who is the father of data warehousing, like I said earlier, has been behind this, has been working for quite some time, and really trying to make sense out of unstructured text is a very very interesting problem to be worked upon. And it's like text is getting to the next stage every day. It's improving. Machine learning is coming up. There are many algorithms which are popping up to understand text, but still it's a very mystical and complex to be able to make sense out of text. So what we will do is we'll just give you a quick overview and then show you the product, give you a brief demo, and then I will show you what can happen on a mobile device or how customers can give feedback at a restaurant while waiting for something, and then we'll pass it on to Rajit, who's my peer, and who will be walking you through the textual ETL, the analytics aspect of it, and then towards the end, I will take you back into Salesforce, or it could be any CRM platform to begin with. Does not have to be Salesforce, but any CRM platform where you may want to integrate as part of your enterprise analytics so that you can really make sense out of the discussions that we're doing. Okay? So let me just quickly walk you through the demo and then um, kind of give you a flavor for what we are trying to get. So here I'm trying to show my iPad. So hope it comes up. Showcasing this is sometimes can be a bit tricky. So I'm just sharing my iPad. So imagine, let's say that I'm using my iPad here, but it could be a customer's mobile device, right? While they're at the table, they can scan a QR code and then bring up the particular brand's feedback form, again, which can be open text, which can be unstructured, like, structured or unstructured, it does not matter. So sometimes I'm showing you an example where I'm in a restaurant. Maybe I know the customer, maybe I do not know the customer. It does not matter. So we can support all things. So there could be various surveys here. I'm selecting something called restaurant survey. So this could be friends and family. I'm just entering various um, various aspects, and this could be how delicious, please rate your, give your feedback, etc., right? So this could be open-ended text, while the structured, like, the feedback, number of stars, like a rating, etc., will give a lot of insights. This is something that we believe is very valuable, where there is open-ended, where customers will get something in return, but they can actually enter some text while they give the feedback and then submit it, right? Once it's submitted, the activities go back into the backend CRM system. So this could be whatever CRM system it is, like, again, like I said, Salesforce, or it could be Sugar CRM, it could be your, it could be just a text file to that matter. So once this particular feedback that is captured here goes into a backend system, that's when the actual analysis comes into play. So what we do is we integrate with Forest Rim technologies. So StoryPulse is sort of the ingestion where we can actually capture text and push it into a backend system. And once we submit it, we generate a notepad or a text file, download that particular feedback that has been captured, and then send it over to Forest Rim. At this point of time, I'll just give it to Ranjit, who will be sharing his screen and then walk you through the Forest Rim technology so that you get a perspective on the possibilities that can happen with the textual analytics. Right? Ranjit, if you can share your screen and give a
Sure.
brief overview of this insights, then I can take it back and complete it with the Salesforce.
Thanks, Adi. Thank you very much. So at Forest Team, we are pioneer in the textual ETL and text analytics, where we help get that unstructured textual data, like customer feedback, and then process it and do all sort of text analytics, including sentiment analysis. So our purpose is to unlock the potential of those unstructured data. So if you might know, in most of the enterprise, 80 to 90% data are unstructured, and hardly 10% of data are structured. So those 10, and most of the enterprise decision, most of, in the sense, 98% of enterprise decision making generally happens on those 10% of structured data, because those 10% of structured data only are analyzable in the form, in a structured form, which can be analyzed. Those unstructured data is not in the stage of analysis. That is why you hardly get opportunity to do the analysis on top of it, and that is there is the chance that you may end up by doing some wrong decision making, wrong business decisions. So if you look at what we do, as Adi explained, so we take the raw data from source. It might be the web-based data, or your hard copy of feedback, or your any app-based collection of feedback or data or customer voice, and then we if required, it can be pre-processed even. For example, if you have some hard copy of feedback, so there are some technologies which can pre-process it. It can be in a speech form, it can be in a video recording or voice recording. So those kind of data, we do the pre-processing and bring it to our textual ETL. And we pass it through the textual ETL. We do a lot of analysis on top of it. Okay. So there are, multiple algorithm that runs at the back. We do the custom variable identification, proximity analysis, a lot of homographic resolution, so on and so forth. And once we pass those unstructured data through textual ETL, the textual ETL converts it to the structured format, which can be further taken to any RDBMS, you name it, and we are there. And on top of it, we can do the analysis, which I will show now. So let me show my screen here. RD. Okay. Let me show the full screen. Okay, can you see yourself here? Okay.
Yeah, we can.
So let me do one thing. So first, I will walk you through how the source data look like. Okay. For example, this is one source data. Okay, which we have. It is synthetic data and taken from some customer feedbacks. Okay, from hospitality domain. It looks like this. Okay, or it can look like something like this. Okay, and we will be working on this data. We will pass it through our what we call textual ETL application. This is the application which you can see. So we simply need to go select the industry. Okay, whether you want to do the sentiment analysis or not, give a batch number. Okay, and we will choose the data. Okay, from the data set we have. Okay.
And just one comment while Ranjit is picking it up is, this is something that the brands, like, this is optional. You don't have to do it. We can do it as a managed service for you guys, so that ultimately, for example, if there's a brand owner, you care only about the output. So you get the reports, you get the insights, and we can take care of all this for you in the background.
So the data are ready here, which we can download directly, the output. And the output will be looking something like this. Okay, so it will have all sort of data converted to your textual format. Okay, and those text data converted to the structured format. And now in turn, we will take this data to take it through the we will pass it through the visualization process, and we will try to visualize it, how we can do the valuable analytics, put the valuable analytics on top of this data. So I will show you the visualization, how it comes up. Okay, so this is a sample visualization which you can see right now. So here you can see it is we are trying to listen to the voice of the customer, and the data which I just processed through textual ETL is analyzed, and you can see the sentiment analysis, what is behind those negative sentiment. And we have set a threshold like up to 20% of negative sentiment. We have given a green zone, beyond that yellow zone, and beyond 40% it is red zone, matter of concern. So here in this case, you can see it is on the borderline, somewhere around 19.63% for a customer. Okay, it is synthetic data again, as I told. So from hospitality domain. So these are the words which were actually negative, behind those negative sentiments. These are the objects behind the negative sentiment. And what things were triggering? What were the positive sentiment terminologies? So these are communication, very good communication in the restaurant, menu, services, people. Similarly, the objects behind it is some PM, service, food, staff. Okay, and some negative sentiment triggering elements. Okay, which actually bothering a lot to the customer. Now we are trying to go by the customer happiness index here, okay, where we have a timeline from which period to which period, okay. The customer happiness index is gauged here. So what is the rating? You can see those ratings are changing. What was the food rating? What was the ambience rating? Okay, in which month of the year? What was the overall rating of the restaurant? And
Yeah,
even if you want to drill down, you can go up to the record level. Okay, so what was the exact feedback, okay, of the customer? So these are the ways we can do analytics on top of the data and visualize it for the benefit of business. We have a lot of filters. I mean, it can be anything, but we can even filter as per our, for example, you want to see some specific trend into some area. How is the breakfast doing? How is the what you call? What is the feedback behind the food? What is the feedback behind our people, our staff? You can do everything based on the classification of your objects. Okay. So you can apply the filter, all those data parameters are changing and you can observe it. Okay. So it gives you detailed insight about the data, what you have captured so far, and we can help you. Okay. So this is negative sentiment, positive sentiment. If you want to look at, you can look at that dialog. Okay. So these are all negative sentiment.
If you go back to the timeline view, Ranjit, just wanted to add one comment there. An interesting thing, especially a lot of times we've been working with few brands, and when you see a dip over a period of time, or if you see some inflection points around, like for example, somewhere in the middle let's say there is a dip, it'll be very interesting to figure out what actually may have happened at that point of time, because it could be a change in, let's say, the chef, maybe a new chef came into the restaurant, or it could be that some changes, like a construction going on within the restaurant, that could have provided the dip. But to be able to tie in the feedback with the operational aspects within the brand, within the enterprise, would be really powerful to be able to again analyze the customer happiness index over a period of time.
Yeah, so each and every element can be filtered out and looked upon. Whatever aspect of business you want to see, whatever aspect of entity or attribute you are trying to look at, okay, you can go filter and see about your people, about your food, about your ambience, about your whatnot. I mean, any aspect of the business. It is not only limited to a specific domain. I mean, this visualization is certainly for hospitality. But I can remember once FRT did some data collection feedback about a big brand. I mean, it was a big brand, shoe brand, and we wrote to that brand as well. And there were some quality issue, and they didn't notice, And there was it was noticed once few top players, top athletes actually fell down due to that malfunction of that shoe, and it is public now. It is Nike, and their stock actually collapsed after that. So we should listen to our customer on time and before time. It is always good to be proactive rather than reactive in this case. So and this to the whole suite of solutions which Focal CXM and Forest Rim is going to offer is going to help you proactively look into your customer voice and listen to them and do necessary and corrective actions whenever and wherever required. In fact, before time rather than after it happens. So this is what we thought of showing, and I hope it actually shown you end-to-end cycle from the raw data to the actual processing of the data through the textual ETL, and then how the data looks like once it is coming out of the textual ETL in a structured format, and then how the visualization looks like once it is visualize in any, you name it, any visualization tool. Okay. And plus we can integrate it with any CRM tool. I mean, to name one like Salesforce, which Adi was talking about, and it can be integrated to any application which is, I mean, which is into your enterprise. So over to you, Adi. I hope any question from any of the audience now.
Well, we can take them maybe towards the end once we
Okay,
complete
sure.
it. And,
So over to you, Adi.
yeah, if you can stop sharing. Thanks, Ranjit. Thanks for that. So as as Ranjit was talking, about Salesforce. So this is Salesforce is one of the most popular CRM platforms out there, and very large brands are using this platform, and we are invested into Salesforce as well. So we're just showing you how the integration could work within StoryPulse. So StoryPulse, as I showed you earlier, is a managed package, is our feedback ingestion engine that you can take feedback through WhatsApp, you can take it through any of the systems, even custom really. So we can ingest the feedback from various channels, push it through Forest Rim, and then get the output back and integrate within Salesforce. So the StoryPulse app within Salesforce platform, it's a managed package. So we have this data that this is the process data, right? So Ranjit showed you how the data was ingested and the output in the Excel. So what we did was we can directly integrate with the database where this data resides, pull it into the Salesforce platform so that all the data periodically comes into this particular thing, right? So this is the same data set pretty much like what Ranjit was showing. And from this feedback, you can either, let's say that you want to do the analysis, we integrated it with, just like how Ranjit was showing you with Power BI, we can integrate it with any other platform such as Tableau or anything else that QuickSight or whatever you're comfortable with. If you do not care about what platform we use and you care only about the insights, then it's almost like we collectively offer it as like a feedback as a service so that folks don't have to worry about anything. You just, on a monthly basis, you just get a PDF report that says, here is what your brand is saying, here is what your customers are talking about, here are the areas for improvement, the things like that, right? So very similar to what Ranjit was showing you earlier. So the green stuff is all positive sentiment, red is negative, and then when I look at it, everything is looking good. So all I care about is, okay, what is this biggest bar on the menu? So it looks like people care about this menu item, and then there is some negative sentiment around the starter against the food. It could be about the flavor. So brands, again, you can go into the level of detail. I don't want to repeat whatever Ranjit shared, but you can pretty much go to the level of detail and understand what is it that folks are talking about from a flavor perspective. Is it that the food is very bland, there's nothing else, so the dishes are bad? So where exactly the negative sentiment is, and then you can actually take actionable insights. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is that we want to make this feedback, voice of the customer, very affordable for emerging markets. There's a lot of fantastic platforms out there using different technologies for doing something similar, but the challenge is always that they're very, very expensive. And every brand, in our view, from Focal and Forest Rim's perspective, we want to make voice of the customer affordable to every brand that is truly interested in capturing the voice of the customer. It should not be a big dent on the P&L. It should be something affordable, something meaningful, where you can take some actionable insights, right? So that is our end goal, and that's the reason why we are focusing on, of course, matured and emerging markets, because we believe that there is a lot of opportunity in the emerging markets, and it's a common challenge for all brands to be able to understand their voice of the customer and take some action, right? So like I said, this is again showing it to you, kind of closing the loop on how, if I'm a brand manager for a particular restaurant chain or a brand, I can pick whatever the chain store that I'm interested in and kind of examine. I can do my analysis across all my stores for a particular brand. Everything is possible. And if you have one restaurant, that's fine. We can actually help you extract the information from various sources, including providing the tools for customers who are sitting in your restaurant, waiting for the food to show up, to actually be engaged and give some feedback at the end of the session, end of their dinner or lunch, so that you ultimately, as a brand owner, as a marketing manager, product owner for your restaurant, you know what exactly needs to happen, right? And we again collectively believe that post-COVID will change the world a lot more, and feedback and concerns from customers will be even more imperative for everybody to understand. With that, I think Ranjit and I would like to stop sharing and open up any questions that you guys may have. You can also chat if you're comfortable with. We can keep an eye on this.
Here's a question, Ranjit. Are there, do you have some practical examples of implementations of this technology?
Yeah. Ranjit, you want to talk about the...
So Jim, whatever I had shown just now, it is practically implementable, and I was doing it live. Okay, so that is the textual ETL application right now. What I use is in cloud, which I pass through the raw data through it and taken the output from there. And then
Jim's
I
question,
utilize this. Yeah, Jim.
sorry, Rajit, I think Jim's question is more about any existing case studies like the one you did at Accor or things like that, I guess. Like where...
Okay, so yeah, we did some exercise with brands like Accor and what you call another was Table Plus. Okay, and yes, from hospitality domain, and we have been doing a couple of projects with from healthcare domain as well. Okay, so yes, we have.
Have you got a lot of products will on their websites give numbers, percentage, either a decrease in cost or a increase in revenue, just a number for the impact of the product, what it saved them. Have you got some history of savings or increased revenue?
We are saving the biggest asset of your business, the sentiment of your customer. So you might have seen while we were showing the visualization, you might have noticed we are, in case of hospitality, obviously we can't do it everywhere. For example, there are always sentiment and non-sentiment analysis. So hospitality and all, once it comes to such business, sentiment analysis is a core part. So we are not focusing only on numbers. We are focusing on the sentiment of your customer, where you can try to identify those weaker area or the area which is lacking some customer satisfaction level and all. You can identify and work on it and try to fix it.
I got you. Okay.
So did I answer your question, Jim?
Well, the question is, I think you can do that. I mean, have you got some examples of where that was done and the improvement, recognizing the sentiment, making the change, and the improvement in income or reduction in expense?
Yeah. So we will reach out to those customers for whom we did, and we will check out with them what revenue benefit they got out of it. It is little tricky to gauge it though in direct level, because it has major impact on the overall revenue business, but gauging it is very specific to a business. So we'll get back to them and we will try to reach up to the number.
Okay.
Yeah, we can update you on that, Jim, because they could be like, sometimes it could be about new product introduction based upon the feedback, or it could be some cost cutting opportunities. But what is that final, how does it impact the bottom line is the question. And we will try to find out some information about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
answer.
This is a very important question, by the way. Jim. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Any other?
Any other question?
Okay, like none. All right. I think we are giving 20 minutes back to you guys. So thank you for sparing your time, guys. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. You have their email addresses. Again, this technology overall is evolving, is maturing. Probably it's like a toddler today, so, and then a long way to mature. But it's all about learning and figuring out what are the new models which are coming up and how can we really adapt. And the English is one language out of many, and each language structurally can be very different. In the past, as an example, I worked on an African language called Yoruba and Igbo. I forgot the name, but the structure of the language itself is so different. So it'll be really interesting to figure out how do we make sense of the language? How do we make sense out of all this? So it's really growing and evolving.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
All
I
right.
noticed a couple of more guys joined just now. So I think they got late.
We're just getting ready to hang up. Thank you again. Thanks, Ranjit, for your time.
guys.
Thank you all for
Thank you very much.
joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.